Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, and giving you the real news. And today, we've got a whole lot of breaking news that you're not going to see anywhere on any other network. Again, jump over to newrightnetwork.com. You can visit all the new writers that we have there, all the great articles that are written and posted up there as well. When you're done with that, jump over to smyth.tv. As you're on smyth.tv, you can check out the shop, check out some of the other things, help support new news media. And while you're there, you can also watch Donald Trump's Twitter feed live, so you never miss a tweet from the president. And that being said, we got a bunch of things going on. Oh, last night I was on Wayne Dupree's show. Wayne Dupree made an announcement that when he's on vacation or he needs a break or time off, that he's going to tap me, little old me, to take over his show while he's out. And I couldn't be more honored. Truly honored. Thank you, Wayne Dupree. We've been friends for a long time, and I didn't see it coming. It kind of hit me out of the blue, and I absolutely took the opportunity to jump on that. So thank you, sir. I absolutely appreciate it. And so our show goes from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, and right after our show airs, then Wayne Dupree comes on. Wayne Dupree's on. He's also on New Right Network and America's Voice as well, so you can catch it on both places. So some of the breaking news that we're going to be talking about today, over in Indonesia, they had an election and they reelected a pro-Islam president. Some riots and people upset. Apparently 6 people have been killed over in Indonesia, so pray for those folks over there. Donald Trump news, we got censorship, we got elections. Folks, we're already electing people. We got elections going on, trade war, or is it going on? Wall updates. And then yesterday, I didn't touch on this, but Ben Carson was trending in the news yesterday. And Ben Carson, I will explain why he was trending. And Ben Carson gets the last laugh. That's what I'm going to say about that. Election 2020, Islam on display, as well as Joe Biden, Rashida Tlaib, Loretta Lynch updates. We got some things that happened overnight with Loretta Lynch and James Comey. And then Spygate updates. Donald Trump really fighting back hard on this one, being a voice for those of us that have been voiceless for such a very, very long time. So I want to start out with the 6 that have died in Indonesia and the protest of the re-election of the pro-Islamic president. If you've been watching the show, if this is the first time of your show, crush the like, crush the share. Back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force stationed in Aviano, Italy. And as well, my good buddy Wayne Dupree was also in the Air Force, so we're airmen. And also brothers in Christ. And you've heard me expose Islam for what it is. There's no Islamophobia here. I'm not afraid of Islam. I do wish Islam to not spread, and I wish it to go away. It is absolutely anti-American. It's the opposite of everything we believe in, and it's the opposite of Christianity. It's flat out. And Wayne Dupree talked about Christ, and Christ is the only one that can save on a show last night. And I echo those sentiments without a doubt. And so when it comes to Islam and Christianity, as Christians, we need to reach out and open our arms to those who are enslaved in the Islamic cult, and reach out to them and show them the freedom of Jesus Christ. And this at G.I. Joe OPS. Count the cost. Are Christ Jesus' forgiveness, love, and eternal kingdom valuable enough that you're willing to lose everything for it? Will you fight the good fight the rest of your life?
I just think it's those times when you go, okay, I'm going to fight this thing. I'm going to go after it. So understand, if you decide to follow Jesus, not pray a prayer and call yourself a Christian. Okay, I'm saying if you really make a decision to follow Jesus and live for his kingdom, really, that seemed like what Jesus did. Do you understand that by following Jesus Christ, it means you're entering into a war? That it means to follow. I mean, truly follow Jesus Christ and live the way he asked you to follow his morality that's going to get more and more unpopular on this earth. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a fight. And the question is do you really want to do that? Do you see Jesus Christ and his forgiveness and his eternal kingdom something that is so valuable that you're willing to lose everything in order for that you're willing to fight the fight for the rest of your life? See, that's the question. Is Jesus that valuable to you? Because if so, then yes, then come up into this water. If you want to get baptized, I'm telling you just right off the bat, this isn't like a fun thing on this earth. There are times when it's just absolutely brutal, because it's a war, it's a battle. But it's because you believe that there's a treasure in Christ and an intimacy you can have with him that's worth the pain, that's worth the fighting, that's worth the suffering, and that there's an eternal kingdom that he offers that's worth it all. And there's an intimacy and a relationship you can have with God. And that's such a great treasure that, yes, I'll come up here, and by entering the waters, you are dying to your old self. That old self with all the things that you're holding on to and you thought would bring you so much pleasure. You realize that was a dead-end road, and I found something. So even if I have to suffer on this earth, I'm going to go for it, because it's a treasure so great that with great joy, I'll go through the suffering and get this treasure.
If you're not a Christian currently, or if you don't attend church on a regular basis, I highly suggest you find a Church of Christ, non-denominational Church of Christ. Go there and just hang out. Just check it out for a minute and see what it's all about. If you don't want to go to a church and you just don't feel like doing that, just not right for me, the people, the issues. I'm going to tell you right now, do not allow human beings to get in the middle of you and your relationship or possible relationship with Christ. Understand that. A lot of people that have fallen out of the church, I did in my 20s and in my early 30s, I walked away from the church because I was angry at the people that I went to church with. I had issues with individuals at the church, things that could have been solved that weren't solved, and I blamed them and I blamed the church and said, I'm never going back. It was a rough 10, 15 years of my life being out of the church and being away from it. Now being back in the church that we go to, the pastor is truly gifted. There's no question about that. In giving the word and not getting in the way of the message, getting the word out, not getting in the way of the message. And we're truly blessed with that. And so if you are reluctant to find a church, look down in the show notes below. I put a link to the audio of our sermons, and the sermons that he's involved in right now are called Dropping Bombs. Politically incorrect issues of the day that he talks about. 2 weeks ago, he talked about abortion, and what does the Bible say about abortion. And last week, my good friend who happens to have darker skin than me, some people call him Black Man, but it's a little bit darker than me, preached a sermon and was a guest speaker, if you will, and talked about race. And what did the Bible have to say about race? And very, very interesting, very telling. And I'm telling you, folks, just listen to it, ease back, and just kind of get into it, because when it comes to the end of the day and all the news that we talk about and all the anger and the hate and the restlessness and the frustrations, I'm telling you, I let it go because I know the end goal is Christ. We don't belong to this world. We're just moving through it. Open up your arms and pick up the people on the way through. That truly is what it's all about. You got to remind yourself of that every single day. So when we get into the news and get into these things that I'm just so frustrated about, understand God's got this. Christ has got this. Okay. So as we say a prayer for those six that have passed away in the protests in Indonesia, say a prayer for those and their families. We've got to keep speaking out about Islam. We've got to keep pushing back on it. We're going to look at it today, and we're going to look at what's going on today in America and the big move for Islam to take hold in America. It's been going on for the last 20 years. We've been asleep. We've elected these individuals. We've voted for the lesser of two evils. We haven't been getting involved in elections like we are now. We truly are with the MAGA movement and the America First agenda. We are getting involved in elections like we've never had before. And Donald Trump, just a huge advocate for Christianity, huge advocate for pro-life. And for those of you, and I've had people come at me and say, how can Trump be a Christian. He get married 5 times. He cheated on his wife. And he did this. He did that. I know many Christians go to church, been married 5 times. I know many Christians go to church, been former drug addicts. I know prostitutes, women who used to be, and there's news about that. Former prostitutes, former adult film actors and actresses who left the industry and became Christian. Don't judge. For those of you who want to judge, that's a bad road to go down. Even the Bible says you're not even qualified to judge yourself. So don't judge. Now, I'm not propping Donald Trump up, and I'm not putting him on the shelf as the end-all, be-all, because that's Jesus's place. That's Christ's place, is to be on the shelf, the end-all, be-all. Christ has just blessed Trump with the ability to make the right decisions at the right time. A lifetime of hammering the metal and literally shaping and forming the individual that he is today to be able to battle the evils that are coming at him with the lies, the hate, and the anger, and he's able to battle through that and work through that. And with us on the ground, we're the ones who are changing. We're changing this on the ground, and it's got to start at the bottom with us, with you and with me. If we're going to continue to make America great again, if we're going to keep America great again, you and I have to be plugged in. We have to be plugged in here on social media. We got to be plugged into the information that's out there and support one another. And I'm giving you some advice, just a heads up. If you're frustrated and you're angry and things just don't seem to be going the right way, or in your life, or wherever you're looking at, I'm telling you, and you're not going to church and you're not learning more about Christ, or you're not developing a relationship with him, just do it. Just do it and leave all that aside and put all your faith and all your hope and all your belief in him, knowing that things will work out in the right way. When things happen to you that are bad, understand it might be bad right now, but it's not going to be bad tomorrow. Just a real quick story. Bought a house a couple of years ago, and we thought it was the greatest thing ever. Had a huge backyard, all the woods and everything. And lo and behold, the first couple of rains, the whole basement flooded. The anger, the frustration, the hate for the people, the sleepless nights of the people that lied to me about the basement. And then all of a sudden, a land developer bought the house next to me and the other side of me, so two houses next to me. And they cleared out the woods, and all woods was all cleared out. And we're looking at a parking lot in the back of a convenience store. Just so frustrating, so angry with all the work and effort we put in to clean the woods up and get all the vines out and to make it like a playable area we could hang out at. And then lo and behold, within less than a year, we approached that builder, offered him our house for sale, and within less than a year, I got $25,000 more than I paid for that house. My real estate agent said that that's unheard of. I'm telling you, folks, don't get frustrated about the bad things. Bad things will always be coming, but when they come, understand the good things are right around the corner. The frustrations, got to let them go, and you got to chalk that up to God's plan. Seriously, start tithing. We tithe all the time. My wife and I, we tithe on everything we have because we just know, we see it. I can't explain it to you. You can feel it. You know it's there. We tithe to our church on every single dime that we make because it's not our money, it's God's money, and he's allowing us to have it. So 10% of that we give to our church because we know where the money's going to. We know the officials that run the church. They're personal friends of ours. We've hung out with them and their kids. They play with our kids. We've had dinner with them. We know who they are. And we also know that hanging out at church and being friends with people at church, similar to being around your family. Family can be rough sometimes. Family can be kind of difficult. You got to work through that and don't allow your family to walk away and you never speak to them again, just as you don't allow the people in the church to walk away from Christ and never speak to him again. Make sense? All right, that's my 2 cents for today. I just had to get that off my chest. Something that's been brewing inside me. I felt like I just needed to get it out there. So if this is the first time you've been on the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. Down in the show notes below, down in the description below, there's a link for show notes. Click on the link for show notes. That'll take you over to newrightnetwork.com, where all 3 pages of the show notes will be there. all the names of the politicians that we're talking about today, the links to their profile on Twitter, as well as Twitter users who post great information, real news, exposing fake news. Their Twitter handles will also be in the show notes. So all you got to do is just click on their name and it'll take you right over to Twitter. Go ahead and follow those folks if you want to stay abreast of real breaking news at all times. And this is a long clip, so I think I'm going to break it up into two different pieces. This goes along with what I just said about why do we fight? Why do I do this here on Smith TV? Why do I do this? Why does New Right Network do what they do? What is it that you should be doing? And if you don't know this gentleman, I absolutely love him. Bill Whittle. I've been following him for years and years. And throughout the campaign of 2015 and 2016, he was just a voice of reason. Definitely one to follow on the YouTubes. But check this out real quick. It's a long clip, so I'm going to split it up into two sections. Right now, I'll play the 4-minute section now, and then at the end of the show, I'll play the other 4-minute section.
You know, looking back on 10 years of doing these videos, the worst thing by far has been the slow, depressing, and in fact, heartbreaking way that I've learned to correct myself when I'm speaking about my own country. I find myself saying, this used to be a free country, or the Constitution clearly states, you remember the Constitution, don't you? Or that's just a red-handed, open felony. You can't get away with something like that unless, of course, you're a high-ranking Democrat or liberal celebrity. You know, those kind of things. I've been so heartbroken for so long that I find myself able to speak of freedom, our rights, and most especially the rule of law only in the past tense. Now, I remember parts of this ongoing process. I remember President Obama's brand new Attorney General, Eric Holder, publicly refused to prosecute flagrant voter intimidation on the part of the Black Panthers because, quote, I think it does a great disservice to people who put their lives on the line, who risked all for my people. I remember hearing that, and I said out loud, I thought we're all your people now, Mr. Holder. I can remember Nancy Pelosi saying that we had to pass the health care bill in order to find out what was in it. I remember Chief Justice John Roberts later ruling that the penalty provided for in that health care law was indeed a tax, and that if it had been called a tax at the time the bill came up, it never would have passed in the first place. I also remember that he didn't vacate the law on this basis. It was just something of passing interest to we history fans. I remember men dying on a rooftop in Benghazi, giving their lives for a government that had already canceled a rescue attempt, leaving them to fight for 6 or 7 hours, wondering when the good guys would arrive. I remember a filmmaker being arrested by 26 state troopers in the middle of the night and then spending a year behind bars for having made a film that Secretary Clinton and President Obama claimed was responsible for that catastrophe in Benghazi. And I remember Dinesh D'Souza doing 6 months in prison for an innocent and trivial violation of a campaign law that Democratic donors flouted with impunity and continue to do so to this very day. I remember the treasonous breach of national security set in motion by Hillary Clinton's arrogance, laziness, and corruption.
And the last half of that is, folks, it's amazing. This is why we do this. This is why we fight the good fight right here on Smith TV, bringing you the real news, exposing the fake news of the Democrat Party, of the left, of the tyrants, of those who wish us harm, of those who wish to take our freedoms away from us. This is why we do it. The digital army, if you will, as Mr. General Flynn calls us, the digital army. And as we get into the people who want to censor us, free speech and things of that nature, we're getting into Trump news right there at the top of the show notes. And this at J_TrumpIN. And I'm putting this up there because Donald Trump retweeted this. So I salute you, J Patriot. You were just retweeted by Donald Trump. What an honor. What an honor. And the tweet goes, Twitter vicious censorship still hitting MAGA movement hard. James Woods suspended day 32. If you think this is total BS, let's make one last ditch effort to bring at real James Woods back. 1, share this tweet. 2, reply to this tweet. 3, follow all who retweet and reply no matter what. 29,000 likes and 22,000 retweets. That's a hell of a statement. Not only that, but getting retweeted by Donald Trump. Oh, Jay Patriot. I hope you know about that. I'm sure you have. I'm sure many people have told you about that. The thing about that is, folks, think about this. When was the last time that you knew of a time and day when you could have direct contact with the sitting president of the United States of America? 100 years ago, maybe? where you could just walk up to the White House and say, hey, I'm here to speak to the President of the United States, and take a number and I'll wait for him? Yeah, a long time ago. Well, we got it now. We got it now to where we can literally watch Donald Trump tweet out or speak to us, we the people, all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are more connected with our president now, his thoughts, his ideas, where he wants to go with the country, where it should be going, the people that are fighting him on the back end, explaining how things work. We're all in the know right here, folks, and that's technology for you. And speaking of that, we had some big wins last night, y'all. And Donald Trump's rally on Monday championing Fred Keller, Donald Trump promoting individuals for office that should be in office, that have our ideologies in mind, America First agenda, keep America great again, and this by Donald Trump. Great news for Republicans. Fred Keller has just won the hard-fought for Pennsylvania congressional contest in a landslide, over 70% of the vote, thanks to thousands who showed up for the rally last night. Congratulations to Fred and his wonderful family. Donald Trump making a difference not only with his position as President of the United States of America, but also helping to bolster up other candidates just like him. Couldn't be more excited. We showed you some of the other candidates that have just won, freshman congressmen, yesterday as well as today, Fred Keller, and we also have more. That's just not it. I'll tell you, man, Donald Trump is winning elections right now in 2019 for the big one, the big finale in 2020, and this is going to be huge. This at Stefan Speaks Up. This is one to follow, folks, if you want real news. Certainly looks like it to me. State of Pennsylvania is already sick and tired of Biden running his mouth, and the Republicans opened up a very special can of whoop-ass tonight on the Democrats. This is what we need to see happen all across our country, 2020. And you can see right there, Republican, 83,000 votes to Democrat, 38,000. Just a huge victory. There's the real news, folks. Donald Trump helping to make America great again by not only winning elections, but also helping us to find out who we should be following. Who do we need to vote for? Who's the good guy? There are so many, 535. How we keep track of them all? Who's in my district? What's going on? And all of a sudden you find out, you realize, oh, I'm in Pennsylvania. 12th district, Pennsylvania? Huh. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll check my district. Now you know. That's how we got to stay plugged in. And if you really want to help and make a difference, go to your local city town hall, get involved in city council members, and file the paperwork. Run for city council. It's really that easy. It's not hard at all. Here in our town, to run for city council, you had to come up with like 52 votes, 52 to 55 signatures just to get on the ballot. A lot of times there are open seats on these ballots. You just walk right in and take it. Seriously. This also at CHIZ MAGA. It's a giant red wall tonight in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is Trump country.
Yes! I am back! Woo!
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Pennsylvania's Trump country. You remember the election 2016, folks? I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but you got to remind yourself, when we saw Pennsylvania fall, whew, it was like we instantly knew that God had blessed America. Then we saw the rest of them fall, and one of them started falling. Donald Trump won that election, I'm telling you, in a landslide. 3 million votes that were illegal votes. We're finding all kinds of voter fraud, all the hate and anger coming from the media, 97-1, the deep state and all the corruption that was involved in the Spygate. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Hillary Clinton should win 1 million to 100 million to 1. Yeah, folks, you talk about a blessing. That one was from God. And the extra 4 years, or the entire 8 years of Barack Obama's reign of terror, the first 4, we just couldn't stomach it anymore. In 2012, we're like, all right, we got to get this thing out of here. GOP deep staters, you awful you rhinos, put in Mitt Romney. Who's going to vote for Mitt Romney? All all the Tea Party members, or maybe not all of them, but a lot of people say, I'm going to teach the GOP a lesson. I'm not going to vote. And I fought hard against you guys. I really did. I fought hard, and I thought that was the wrong way to go. But all the pain and suffering that we went through from 2008 to 2016, all the pain and suffering we went through that whole time, we had to endure that to wake the majority of the country up to get a candidate and now president like Donald J. Trump, president of the people for the people. Some more winning news at Real Donald Trump. Congratulations to Governor Matt Bevin on winning the Republican primary for governor tonight in the great state of Kentucky. Matt, you are doing a fantastic job. Absolutely, folks. I got frustrated and upset when Rand Paul threw his weight against Matt Bevin for Mitch McConnell, but hindsight's 50-50. I'm looking right now at Matt Bevin as being governor, doing a fantastic job. Huge props, without a doubt. Couldn't be more excited. At Lindsey Graham, SC, very pleased to have confirmed another conservative judge to the 9th, yes, you heard that right, the 9th Circus Court of Appeals. Daniel Collins will be an outstanding appellate court judge. He's well qualified and fully understands the difference between being a judge and a legislator. And this at Senate Cloakroom, this is absolutely one to follow if you want to stay on top of things. Confirmed 53-46, executive calendar, #201. Daniel Collins to be U.S. Circuit Judge for the 9th Circuit. Said all along, you want to change this country? You want to change how things are run? Do it with the judges. Donald Trump replacing these activist judges, the 9th Circus, and that's why it's called the 9th Circus, because that's where the Democrats always run to when they want a ruling in their favor, go to the 9th Circus. And now we're changing that, folks, to where Democrats can't politically get things ruled on by judges who will just do it because of political reasoning and backing. We've got to change this. Rule on cases based on you being a judge and not a politician. That's what we need. And Donald Trump making a difference, all the difference in the world on this kind of stuff. And as I said, we're going to talk about trade war. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This at Chuck Grassley, this is Senator Chuck Grassley, tweets out, another trade breakthrough today with Japan lifting restrictions on U.S. beef products. U.S. beef into Japan has been one of the most difficult trade issues U.S. has dealt with for over 2 decades. It's only second to Europe's refusal to take GMO grains. Japan market will really help Iowa cattlemen. That's fantastic. You talk about making America great again. That's where it's at. Stand up to these tyrants, not backing down, not capitulating, not playing footsie, not buckling to other countries' demands. It's America first here. Yes, it's a Japan first in Japan, but they got to do what they got to do, and we got to do what we got to do to keep our country first and foremost. And now as we shift over to updates on the wall, I haven't heard about the wall much lately. If you're not really plugged in to social media, this is President Trump speaking truth to power, letting America know what's going on. It's at Real Donald Trump. Much of the wall being built at the southern border is a complete demolition and rebuilding of old and worthless barriers with a brand new wall and footings. Problem is, the haters say that is not a new wall, but rather a renovation. Wrong. And we must build where most needed. There you go, Ann Coulter. Why are you hating? There's a lot of places where there's fencing that's been torn down or run over by vehicles, just ripped down either by people, by weather, by storms, just regular fences. You know, you're fencing your own yard. You got to maintain that little fence. Well, there's places where fences have fallen down, so they've gone in, removed all of it, and then built an entirely brand new wall in that place. And this, I tweeted this out, Sarah Sanders. That 2-mile quote is an inaccurate number. Closer to 115 miles of wall have been finished. this posted up by the Gateway.
We're still on track to get close to 500 miles built by the end of the year. The Army Corps of Engineers, working with DHS and DOD, are putting a tremendous amount of effort into not just building a new wall, taking down some of the barriers that have existed that are completely ineffective, and putting in the very effective border wall that they've been building over the last couple of months. That's going to continue, and we're making great progress on that front. We would be doing it a lot faster and getting a lot more of it done if Democrats hadn't continued to stand in the way of actually securing our border, stopping this national security and humanitarian crisis, and actually working with the president instead of working against him. We would be making even double that progress by the end of the year if they would actually get on board and help out.
So how much is built?
I know that there have been, there's over 100 miles. I think it's close to 115 miles that have been finished. And again, we feel comfortable and confident that we're on track to get right around 500 finished by the end of the year.
Okay. Speaking of the wall suits that guy was wearing at the rally, they sold out. Has anybody ever gone to the White House in that suit?
Not that I know of. We'll certainly have to check. As somebody who's been unsuspectingly called onto the stage at a Trump rally, I think he should just be glad he wasn't fired in front of thousands of people. Maybe he'll get hired. I don't know. Maybe we'll take him with us to every rally moving forward. I think it's certainly a reinforcement of the message that the president's been talking about, and a recognition.
You would talk about President, the man of the people right there, bringing a guy up on stage for having a wall suit. How fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I couldn't be more pleased with the job that she's doing, as well as Kellyanne Conway, selflessly putting their entire lives on hold to serve and help Donald Trump and help us to get back America, make America great again. Fantastic. And this was Donald Trump's second tweet. Also, tremendous work is being done on pure renovation, fixing existing walls that are in bad condition and ineffective, and bringing them to a very high standard. Thank you, sir. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. Finally doing work for the people and not what the Democrats are doing, screaming, yelling, and kicking. Doing absolutely nothing for the American people. They've now taken back Congress. What are we at? 100 and some days? 100 and some days of nothing. Nothing but hate and anger and frustration. But that's okay. Donald Trump is making America great again, regardless of what they're doing. And yesterday, I told you yesterday there was a debacle or an issue, a flare-up with Ben Carson. Ben Carson was giving testimony, and the Democrats were doing what they do. Same thing they did, but Brett Kavanaugh, same thing, what they always do. And one of the Democrat congresspersons, one of the ladies, talking to him about REO, and do you know what REO means? Are you sure? And he didn't understand her. He didn't even know what it means. I don't care. The fact there are so many acronyms out there, especially in government life, that you just throw one out about real estate and REO. Okay, whatever. And so they made fun of him, started cracking on him about not knowing what REO meant. Matter of fact, he even said, Oreo? She's like, no, REO. REO. So our good friend at FUCT up Mike, this is a good one to follow. He get you laughing and cack you up. So he tweets out Ben Carson. He says, holy hell. And Ben Carson says, oh, REO. Thanks, Representative Katie Porter. Enjoying a few post-hearing snacks. Send some your way. Representative Porter, thank you for part in today's hearing. Hope you like these Oreos. Ben Carson sends her a family size. What? What's he trying to say? Love it, Ben Carson. Come on, man. You got to laugh at these Democrats. When they call you out for being ignorant of something, you got to laugh right back at them. Come on, man. We're not supposed to know everything. We can't know everything. Dr. Ben Carson is a brain surgeon for the babies in utero, meaning he operates on a baby's brains while they're inside the uterus. Now, speaking about that, there was an article out, I think yesterday, that said that the doctors did a spinal surgery on a baby in the uterus, fixed it, good to go. Man, I'm telling you what, so if you got a baby that's got a problem in the uterus, don't abort it. Just get a doctor, go fix it. No problem solved. And this at GKEILE, go Trump. Are you friggin' kidding me? Wow. Democrat, New York, blaming Carson for the homeless crisis. So this is what went down yesterday.
Don't sit there, sir, and say about a national conversation. We need to have a national conversation about homelessness in our nation, about the disrepair of public housing in our nation. You know what it takes? It takes money. It takes the budget. You have created this crisis by the disinvestment that have taken place in public housing in our nation.
We have a very substantial affordable housing crisis, and there are two ways to approach it. Continue to throw money at it, which has been done for a long time without solving the problem, or ask yourself, why do you have that problem of escalating prices? I can say more about that.
I yield back the balance of my time.
So instead of
Florida, Mr.
So instead of letting him continue to talk, she yields back the balance of her time so that he can't take up her time to shut him down from talking.
Is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, they continue to ask you questions and not allow you time to answer them. I mean, that's pretty selfish, pretty bad behavior. So if you want any time to answer anything, you just give me a thumbs up and I'll yield time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it does seem a little silly to have a hearing or you ask someone a question and you can't answer it. It seems like more of a platform.
Would the gentleman yield?
But at any rate.
No.
You call me selfish?
I yielded.
By fighting here for children in America? Shame on you.
Chair, order, please.
Order,
Dr.
please.
Carson has my time.
Mr. Posey.
Now, in terms of affordable housing crisis, we have to ask ourselves, why is there an affordable housing crisis in a country like ours? There are so many regulatory issues and zoning restrictions that add to the cost. For a new construction single-family home now, we're talking 25 to 27%. For multifamily construction, we're talking 32.1% up to 42% in a quarter of cases. Unless we begin to tackle the things that are driving these prices, we're just chasing our tails by just saying we got to throw more money at it.
Absolutely right, Mr. Ben Carson. Thank you so much for the words of wisdom and the insight, folks. You're getting insight right there to what's going on. Affordable housing crisis, yeah, because the cost of building these homes, regulations, government regulations, probably insane standards. Don't get me into constructing a nuclear power plant. And they may even use those standards. I'm just saying, folks. Regulations. Donald Trump ripping regulations out one at a time, left to right. One new regulation for every 22 being removed. Thank you, Donald Trump, making America great again. That is the killer of capitalism, which is regulations. You remove regulations and you will absolutely destroy socialism. Capitalism will thrive once you remove these regulations, and that's what Trump has done for the last 2 years. Now, as we shift into gears over here to election 2020, Democrats have 24 people running for the nomination. I'm shocked, man. I really am. But, they love to speak. They love the limelight. They love to be in power. They love people. Look at me. And this is... she's not running for president of the United States, but she will have to run for her own seat again. At Real Saavedra, Representative Rashida Tlaib, a Democrat, Michigan. One day, there'll be a little Rashida or a little Ilhan running for president. Folks, we got to make this so this cannot be possible. We've got to make this so this cannot be possible. A Muslim practicing Islam cannot hold seats in our government, cannot be elected officials because their ideologies are against our Constitution. Their ideologies are the opposite of everything that this country was founded upon. We've got to make this a point that this never, ever happens. And this some good news coming at Jally_cat. Folks, these are the ones to follow on Twitter. Everyone that I point out right here, their name is in the description below. Just click on their name and it'll link direct to Twitter so that you can crush the follow. She tweets out this article at OregonLive.com. U.S. revokes citizenship of extremist Somali imam who led Masjid al-Sabr, Portland's largest mosque, where terrorists worshipped. Muhammad preached violent jihad and worked with Osama bin Laden. He also lied on his naturalization application. Lied? Lying? You could be Muslim and practicing Islam and lie, and that's okay. In Christianity, we teach our children not to lie. But if you're a Muslim practicing Islam, you are commanded to lie if that will help the movement. And as we see in court documents and records, Ilhan Omar married her brother in order to obtain citizenship, lied about why she did it, or she didn't lie about what she did. Okay, let's give her a benefit of the doubt. Let's say that she didn't lie about marrying her brother, or she married her brother on purpose because she wanted to marry her brother. Well, that's against the law. Can't do that. So either you lied or you broke the law, or both, or one or the other. Jumping right over to Joe Biden, who's having all kinds of problems running 2020. This at Megavolt001, Biden, China, Manchurian. New York Times confirms Hunter Biden Bank of China deal. A New York Times article confirming the $1.5 billion deal Hunter Biden's private equity firm secured with the state-owned Bank of China omits key details. You know it's bad when the New York Slimes is writing stuff about you, and it's not very good. Folks, the story out of Breitbart, Peter Schweizer's book, how the corrupt politicians, deep staters enrich themselves with other countries. Peter Schweizer's book, Secret Empires, how the politicians enrich their pockets, line their pockets with millions of dollars from other countries to do favorable things for them. We've got a swamp like that we've never seen before, folks. And Hunter Biden right there, along with John Kerry's stepson, put together an equity firm, and that equity firm had members of the Chinese bank who tactically is owned and run by the Chinese government. The bank doesn't do anything without the Chinese government giving its thumbs up. So you just might as well say Chinese officials, for the most part, are on the board of directors of his equity firm and funding it to the tune of $1.5 billion. Now, you think John Kerry's going to do any favors for China? And how about the time that Biden said in public, he said, yeah, I got that guy in the Ukraine. I got him fired. Yeah, the one that was investigating my family. Yep, I got him fired. Told him I'd hold back, $1 billion. You ain't going to get that from America. They said, well, you're not the president. And then I told them, I said, well, call him. And lo and behold, Barack Obama was 100% behind Joe Biden. Wonder how much dirty money Barack Obama has. I wonder how much. This at NBC News, North Korea taking a shot at Joe Biden. North Korea slams Joe Biden as a fool of low IQ. During a campaign rally, the former vice president accused Trump of cozying up to dictators and tyrants like Kim Jong-un. North Korea has labeled Joe Biden a fool of low IQ and an imbecile, bereft of elementary qualities as a human being. So it looks like North Korea coming to Donald Trump's aid. It also goes on to say what he uttered is just sophomoric of an imbecile bereft of elementary qualities as a human being, let alone a politician. Holy smoke. It added, there is nonstop comment over his bid for the candidacy that is not worth pinning hope on. Backed by the jeer, he is a fool of low IQ. Holy smoke. They don't like Joe Biden too much. I wonder why. But he's probably done something that they didn't like with some foreign government like China. In this act, G.I. Joe OPS, the tolerant left. The results of left's Democrats' MSM, deliberate and planned brainwashing of their base. I call it gaslighting 100%. This individual has a very, very, it needs to seek some help.
Can I interview you?
Of course.
Awesome. So what brought you out here today?
I hate fascists.
Okay.
I hate fascism.
Fascism is not a political philosophy. Fascism is an illness. It's a plague. It's a disease. It's a tumor. You cut it out. You don't argue with them. You don't debate them. Fascism is not a political philosophy. It's not something you disagree with. Anyway, hey, doctor, can you give me an argument against cancer, please, so I can argue with cancer? No.
I don't know if this is a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. He's certainly a very unhinged individual. And fascism is cancer? Well, fascism is cancer in the sense that it will erode and destroy our way of life, our economy, the way the government is run. Yeah, fascists destroy. Oh, without a doubt. It is the cancer. However, it is a political ideology, you nut job. We got to talk to these people, explain to them what fascism does, and say, no, we want nothing to do with it. This individual is calling out Donald Trump as a fascist, a dictator, asked many questions about what it thought about Donald Trump, and just a blabbering mess, just a hot mess, a lot of cuss words, and I don't want to have to bleep all that out. Too much time and effort for me here on the show, and you guys don't need to hear that anyways. But again, Democrats, mainstream media have gaslit their entire party. The people that are voting for Joe Biden right now, the people that are voting for Buttigieg, people that are voting for Bernie Sanders, they're all unless they're completely misinformed, they are gaslit. If you're voting for Bernie Sanders this time around, you don't understand what Bernie Sanders wants to do with this country. You don't understand that Bernie Sanders is bought and paid for. If you vote for Joe Biden, you truly don't know Joe. You don't know what Uncle Joe is capable of, what he has done in the past 38 years as an elected official, enriching himself to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. And what for? What do we get out of it? Not a damn thing. And as I promised you, Loretta Lynch updates, and this just in at American Voter US. Check out this. Loretta Lynch lied about the tarmac meeting. Just read Loretta Lynch transcript in regards to the tarmac meeting. She said she did not know Bill Clinton would be there. He said the same thing. Yet on page 203 of IG Horowitz's report, it shows Secret Service planned the meeting with the FBI. What, and they didn't call her? I call BS. 100% without a doubt, there's no possible way they didn't know that each other were there. And more bad news for Comey. This just is getting worse and worse. At Doing Right, Comey, are you feeling the pressure yet for your actions? Lynch is saying she never told you to call it a matter. Barr is having you investigated. Don't get Hillary upset with you. Retweet if you think Comey's in trouble. And this at Jamie ODR 14. Flashback. Boom. This is all you'll ever need to know to see to understand what needs to be addressed by AG Barr, the Obama DOJ, and the corruption of Comey.
My time's expired, but I have one last question, and I think that's important. At this point, based on everything, do you think that any laws were broken by Hillary Clinton or her lawyers?
Do I think that any laws were broken? Yeah. I don't think there's evidence to establish that.
Okay. Well, I think you're making my point when you say there's no evidence to establish that. Maybe not in the way she handled classified information, but with respect to obstruction of justice. And you've got a pen here. I just want to make sure the record's clear about the evidence that you didn't have, that you can't use to prove. So this comes from the FBI's own report. It says that the FBI didn't have the Clintons' personal Apple server used for Hillary Clinton work emails. That was never located, so the FBI could never examine it. An Apple MacBook laptop and thumb drive that contained Hillary Clinton's email archives was lost, so the FBI never examined that. 2 BlackBerry devices, provided the FBI didn't have SIM cards or SD data cards. 13 Hillary Clinton personal mobile devices were lost, discarded, or destroyed with a hammer, so the FBI clearly didn't examine those. Various server backups were deleted over time, so the FBI didn't examine that. After the State Department and my colleague Mr. Gowdy here notified Ms. Clinton that her records would be sought by the Benghazi Committee, copies of her emails on the laptops of both of her lawyers, Cheryl Mills and Harold Mills, and Heather Samuelson, were wiped clean with bleach bits, so the FBI didn't review that.
And James Comey said that he negotiated with Hillary Clinton's lawyers for immunity to receive laptops that had nothing on them.
After those emails were subpoenaed, Hillary Clinton's email archive was also permanently deleted from the Platte River Network with bleach bit, so the FBI didn't review that.
And also after the subpoena, backups of the Platte River server were manually deleted. Now, Director, hopefully that list is substantially accurate because it comes from your own documents. My question to you is this. Any one of those in that very, very long list, to me says obstruction of justice. Collectively, they scream obstruction of justice. And to ignore them, I think, really allows not just reasonable prosecutors, but reasonable people to believe that maybe the decision on this was made a long time ago not to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
And that at John Radcliffe. Thank you so much, John Radcliffe. Talk about a voice of reason. Then there's a congressman that needs to be reelected right there. As we get into the Spygate debacle that's falling apart, this is Representative Doug Collins from yesterday, putting all of Loretta Lynch's testimony out there for us to read, and now on Hannity commenting about the big lie.
Well, thanks, Sean. I think one of the things that John just talked about is the American people are turning because they're seeing the truth. For the first time, they're actually seeing these testimonies that the investigators did, and you saw that with my colleagues, with Ratcliffe and Jordan and Meadows and others who did this. We're seeing the truth of Gowdy. What they found out is that there was a conflict. What they were finding out was that there's this cover-up because they knew that if it was ever uncovered, that there would be trouble. Lynch, we knew was basically, we've already seen the incompetence that she showed as Attorney General. Now we're seeing them turning on Jim Comey, who his little run as Captain America is coming to an end. He is not what he has portrayed himself to be, and there's going to be answering for that based on what we see in these transcripts. There's contradictions at every turn.
And John Solomon, the president's going to add to the problems of the deep state.
It happened, Bruce Orr warned them in August of 2016. Now we got this issue, this conflict in testimony between Loretta Lynch and Comey. But Comey also signed the first warrant FISA application in October 2016 and then told Trump, then President-elect, January 2017, it's not verified. 3 months earlier, he swore that it was. How big a problem is all of this conflict pretty much between every member of the deep state involved?
Well, first, the president's going to add to the problems of the deep state when he declassifies these first documents in the next several days. I think the most important thing that has changed in the last few months. Yeah, it is a big detail.
So we have similar sources, I'm getting.
Yes, absolutely. I've confirmed that sometime in the next 7 to 8 days, the president will declassify the first of many documents. This first one we used to call Bucket 5, the exculpatory statements that the FBI possessed about its targets before it went to the FISA court. But let me tell you about one important dynamic that's changed. Today at the Hill, we had a new poll out. For the first time, a majority of Americans support investigating the FBI's conduct and the start of the Russia investigation. That is a sea change in public sentiment, and I think it's a sign that the American public is on to the scam that was going on here.
And it's also a sign of the great
A lot of great things to come. Donald Trump, we're going to release unredacted. Folks, this is big. These people are going to jail. James Comey's going to jail. People keep asking me, is Comey going to go? I'm telling you, my heart of hearts in my gut says Comey's going to jail. Comey is going to jail. If he goes to jail, Clinton gets off. So Clinton will make that happen to make Comey go to jail so she don't have to go to jail. And folks, like I said, let me play the last 3.5 minutes of that clip that I promised you with Bill Whittle. And this is why we do this. Smith.tv, NewRightNetwork.com. This is why we do this.
A few days ago, I watched one of these deep state elitist determiners of what was best for the American people answer some questions about how the Mueller investigation started. John Brennan, who was instrumental in launching this slow-motion failed coup d'etat, was explaining how everything he did was completely legal and overseen by the FISA court the whole way. And I had two instant reactions to that interview. My first thought is that he's doing precisely what Hillary Clinton did when faced with her criminal email practices, namely assert and then reinsert that everything she did was strictly legal and had been overseen every step of the way. She was lying. I knew she was lying, you knew she was lying, and I knew Brennan was lying too when he said that the court had approved the surveillance of candidate Donald Trump, although it did take Trey Gowdy to point out to me what should have been obvious, namely that courts rule based on the evidence presented to them and have no way of knowing the information given to them is indeed factually accurate. And that's when I realized my second thought. He's scared. Brennan is really scared. Comey's scared too. They're all scared. They're throwing all the mud they can to convince the American people that Donald Trump is a tyrant and Attorney General Bill Barr nothing more than a political hack, which is pretty rich, really, coming from a peerless American tyrant and her retinue of political hacks. But for the first time in 10 years, I began to detect a whiff of cool, clean mountain air in this stinking, gangrenous septic ward that used to be a government. I sensed just the possibility, the faintest hint, that a clean gust of wind will bring the smell of actual justice into the room. Now, I don't allow myself to really get my hopes up, of course, not after what we've been forced to watch over the last decade or so. The logical part of me, the part that tries hard to stay grounded in actual, messy, disappointing reality, is saying that the best case scenario is perhaps a lancing of this festering wound with some iodine and bandages applied, something cosmetic and pointless as the infection continues to spread. But then there's the other part of me, the part with a broken heart, the part that, like you, has been fighting to try and save this patient. The part that understands that this will require massive and invasive surgery, that we will have to spend hours on the operating table, opening the chest cavity, cutting away all of the dead tissue, all of the tumors and the pus and the rotting flesh. The part of me that still believes that this patient can be saved, but only by the most skilled, aggressive, and drastic measures on the part of the surgeon. That this horrible wound could in fact be flushed clean with a saline solution and stitched and tightly bandaged with dressings that are changed several times a day, and that we would commence a long, tedious regimen of antibiotics to continue for a long, long time, resisting the temptation to back off on the drugs when things just started to look better. And then I put these two feelings, these two ideas together, and I realized that the surgeon in this life and death fight is not Bill Barr and it's not Donald Trump. The surgeon is you. The surgeon is me. We allowed all of this to happen. The patient entrusted to our care fell into critical condition on our watch. And the effort needed to save that patient, that idea called America, will be Herculean. So, are we up to this task?
Amen, Bill Whittle. I am up to the task, folks. We do this 5 nights a week, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And then right after this show is Wayne Dupree's show, 8 to 9, Monday through Friday. This is where it's at. New Right Network. We do this out of our own pockets. And the only monies that we get paid from is from you Patreons that help us. And God bless you and God bless your finances, and hope that things grow and get bigger and get better with this tremendous economy. And folks, if you've been blessed and you feel the urge to give, jump over to SmythTV, become a Patreon of ours, and help us to help Donald Trump make America great again. Folks, we do this because we love America that much. Digital warriors, that's who we are, making a difference every single day. And you're watching New Right Network's original series, SmythTV, giving you the breaking news every day, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, giving you the real news, and pointing you in the right directions with the right politicians we need to vote into office and the right politicians we need to vote out of office. Thank you for Wednesday Wisdom. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.